Hello friends, this video on Kingdom Animalia Part 3 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. And the last one, that is organ system level of organization, where organs group together to form organ system. That means here the organs work in coordination with each other. So they perform their own job and they also maintain a synchronization with the other organs. For example, if I take the example of digestive system, the different organs which are involved in the digestive system have to work in coordination with each other. So whosoever job comes first, for example, whenever you eat food, that ingestion happens through mouth. So mouth has to perform its job first. Then it goes through the esophagus, that is the food pipe, and then it reaches the stomach. So the food pipe should the timing has to be maintained. So now if the food pipe starts doing its job even before the food is being taken in by the mouth, so do you think that the digestive system will function properly? No. Right? So every organ has to work in synchronization or in coordination with the other organs. Only then they can form a good organ system. So organ systems are specialized to perform specific physiological function. So what do I mean by physiological function? So physiological is basically derived from the word physiology, and physiology is again a branch of biology where we study the functions of organisms organ system. We study the functions of different organs. We try to study the different organ systems which are present in an organism, like digestive system, circulatory system, respiratory system, excretory system, because these are some of the life processes without which that organism cannot live. So these physiological functions need to continue inside the body. Only then that organism will be alive. Right? So these organ systems will help, each organ system will perform its own specific function. Like the excretory system will not help in digestion, right? So it has to help in removing the waste products from your body. Similarly, each system, be it respiratory or circulatory or digestive, they will perform their own physiological function. So let us look at example where we see organ system level of organization, that is annelids, arthropods. So here I am not telling you what are annelids, what are arthropods, because we will talk about that later as we talk about each of them one by one. So annelids basically would include the flatworms. When I talk about the arthropods, they will include the insects. Mollusks would include organisms like octopus. Echinoderms will again include the marine animals. And chordates would include organisms like us. So these are some of the phyla which all belong to the organ system level of organization. So now, did you get an idea that how this level of organization actually help in classifying? So different organisms with different levels of organization were put into different groups. So this was one parameter of classification. But since the variety is so huge that only one parameter will actually not help you to group organisms properly, because if that was the case, then all these annelids, arthropods, mollusks, echinoderms, chordates, everything will come into one group because they all belong to the same level of organization. So again, inside that group you will have a huge variety. So that is why a few more parameters were taken into consideration. Okay, so now let us look at an example of organ system. Let us take the examples of different organ systems which are present in the human body, because that will actually give you an idea of organ system. Digestive system, respiratory system, nervous system, circulatory system, and excretory system. These are 5 important systems which helps us understand the organ system concept. Now, if you look at any of these systems, how are the systems composed of? They are made up of different organs, and each organ is very, very specialized to perform a specific task, right? So when I say organ system level of organization, that means that particular organism has cells, they have tissues, they have organs, they have organ systems. Now, it is not necessary that every animal will have same type of organ system. For example, if you take the example of respiratory system in human beings and respiratory system in fishes might be very different, but both of them will have a respiratory system. Okay, so now let us look at the organ systems in different animals. Let us suppose if I talk about digestive system. Now, how the organ systems can be different in different animals. Just now I was telling, right, it is not necessary that all organisms will have similar type of organ system. So again, that might vary from animal to animal. Let us take the example of digestive system. Now, many organisms will have an incomplete digestive system. Now, what do I mean by incomplete digestive system? Let us have a look. A digestive cavity with one opening to the outside. Now, when I talk of digestive system, I think the best example with which you can relate things is our own digestive system. So, our own digestive system, how many openings do we have to the outside? 2 openings. One is for ingestion, that is mouth. So, mouth opens to the exterior. So, we can put food inside through the mouth. So, mouth is one opening. What is the other opening? That is anus, through which the undigested food particle is sent out of the body. So, egestion happens through anus. So, there are 2 openings. But there are some organisms where there is only one opening in the digestive system. So, ingestion of food also happens through that opening, and egestion of undigested food also happens through the same opening. So, those kind of organisms are said to have an incomplete digestive system. So, there is a single opening which is used for both ingestion and egestion. So, ingestion is taking in food. So, this is taking in food. And what is egestion? Egestion is sending out undigested food. Right? So, both the things will happen through the same opening. One example of such organism is platyhelminths. So, in platyhelminths, that is the flatworms, they have an incomplete digestive system. That means even though they have some vague system which performs the function of digestion, but it is not complete. They do not have a mouth and an anus separately. They just have one mouth, which you can see here. So here you can see this opening. So this is the mouth. So the food is taken in from here, and the food and the undigested food is thrown out from the same opening. So that this kind of digestive system is known as incomplete digestive system. On the other hand, we have a complete digestive system which is similar to our digestive system, where we have 2 openings. So a digestive cavity with 2 openings to the outside. One opening is used for ingestion, that is mouth, and another opening is used for egestion, that is anus. So example would be the human digestive system. So this is your mouth, which helps in ingestion, and here you have your anus, which helps in egestion. Whenever you are asked what kind of digestive system a particular organism has, you can directly say whether it is a complete digestive system or it is an incomplete digestive system. Similarly, if you talk about the circulatory system, what is the circulatory system? The system which actually helps in circulating things throughout the body. So what are the different organs which are present in the circulatory system? You have heart. I am talking about human circulatory system. We have heart, which acts as the pump of the circulatory system, which helps in pumping blood throughout the body. Other than that, we have the blood vessels. We have the arteries and veins, which helps in actually transporting things throughout the body. Now, this circulatory system again can be of 2 types. First is open circulatory system. Now, what do we mean by open circulatory system? here blood is pumped by heart in body cavities. So here we do not have the concept of blood vessels, like how in case of our circulatory system we have the different blood vessels, like the arteries, veins, the capillaries. They are the different blood vessels. So you have some tube like structures inside which the blood flows. So that is how the blood flows inside our body. But there are certain organisms where you don't have those blood vessels at all. You don't have those tube like structures. So the blood is like present everywhere inside the body. So all the organs present inside of your body is basically floating in blood. So there are no pipe like structures inside which blood is flowing. So blood vessels are completely absent. Blood is pumped by the heart in the body cavities. So wherever in between the organs, wherever the cavity is there, wherever a space is there, blood will be pumped to those places. So here we see the presence of hemolymph. What is hemolymph? It is a fluid which is present in the body cavities and the tissues of such organisms, which functions as blood in some organisms, whereas it functions as lymph in some other organisms. For example, in human body we have two different things. One is blood, one is fluid, right? So the blood flows through the different blood vessels. And what is lymph? That extra fluid which remains in between the body cavities, in between the organs, that interstitial fluid is known as lymph. So these are two different things in human beings, and the distinction is maintained inside our body. So blood doesn't mix with lymph, lymph doesn't mix with blood, right? But in these kind of organisms where you have an open circulatory system, since you do not have distinct blood vessels, therefore there is a lot of mixing which happens inside. So it is just like everywhere inside your body, wherever there are gaps, wherever there are cavities, it is filled by blood. So that blood gets mixed with the lymph as well. So that fluid together is given the name of hemolymph. So what are the animals where you see these kind of circulatory system? It is seen in mollusks and arthropods. Arthropods basically include all the insects, cockroach, mosquito, grasshopper. So they all come under this arthropods. So they all have this kind of open circulatory system. And the second one is closed circulatory system, where we have distinct blood vessels present. So here blood is enclosed in blood vessels. They are the tube-like structures, and the flow of the blood throughout the body is also happens in a very systematic way. We have studied about the human circulatory system in class 10th. So there I have taught you in detail that how the blood flow actually takes place inside our body. So you already know how systematically that process actually takes place. So this is an example of closed circulatory system. So here also we have that interstitial fluid, that means the fluid which is present in between the spaces of the organs, and that fluid is given a separate name called lymph. So the interstitial fluid is called lymph, and lymph is very well separated from blood, because it's very simple, right? Because the blood is always enclosed inside those tube-like structures. So blood cannot come out of that, and lymph always remains outside in the interstitial places. So blood and lymph can never get mixed up. So here there is no concept of hemolymph. Blood is pumped by heart through blood vessels and doesn't normally fill the body cavities. That is also very obvious, because when you have special tube-like structures, so those tubes will take the blood to the designated places. It is not that once the blood is pumped by the heart, it will just fill all the spaces. It is not like that. So basically there are two types of circulatory system, open and closed. In open you do not have blood vessels, so it is like blood fills the entire body. You feel as if that the organs are floating in blood. Whereas in closed circulatory system, blood always flows through the blood vessels, so they are confined to the blood vessels, and blood and lymph do not get mixed up, they remain separated. So examples of closed circulatory system, it is found in vertebrates, it is found in all vertebrates and some invertebrates too. For example, you see it in human beings, fishes, reptiles, amphibians, everywhere you have closed circulatory system. So this was example of some organ systems which are different in different organisms. In different types of organisms, their basic structure or basic composition is quite different. So we took these two examples of digestive system and circulatory system. So what did we study? in levels of organization. What did we observe? We observed that the organization of the body happens at many different levels. The first level being the cell. So body is made up of cell, the fundamental unit of every living organism. But then these cells with a common function can group together to form tissues. These tissues in turn can group together to form organs. So here you can see in the first step you see these are the animal cells. These cells combine to form this tissue. Then this tissue will form organs. So here this is which organ is this? It is nothing but the lungs. These organs in turn can form the organ system. So these lungs form the respiratory system. And many such systems will together form the organism. Now, in forming this organism, only respiratory system will not help. You need respiratory, digestive, circulatory, you need all the systems to be there. So when all the systems are there, then you actually form an organism. So it is a very much step-by-step process. So that is why these are known as levels of organization. Now, as your level increases, the complexity also increases. So when you talk about the cellular level, it is just some aggregates of cells. So things are quite simpler when compared to the organ system level, where you have different systems performing functions in a different way. So as your level increases, the complexity involved also increases. Clear? Okay. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.